Welcome to the debate. Picture a high-stakes negotiation. You probably imagine, a smooth talker dominating the room.
Right, like pacing around.
Yeah, exactly. Someone just crushing the opposition with brilliant arguments and, well, sheer verbal force. But what if the person actually controlling the room hasn't spoken a single word in 5 minutes? Today, we are looking at the mechanics of negotiation and this radical idea that your most aggressive weapon might actually be shutting up.
Which completely flips the traditional courtroom lawyer trope right on its head. I mean, we're looking at a text here that claims power really lies in the gaps between words, in understanding rather than convincing.
Right, and that is exactly where we split. I look at this material and I see silence as an active, standalone method of persuasion. Like it's a proactive force that directly shapes the outcome of a deal.
And, well, I see it as the ultimate defensive shield. It's a phenomenal intelligence-gathering tool, sure, but it is fundamentally a precursor. You use it to collect data so you can eventually, launch an actual strategy.
Let's actually ground this for the listener, because when I first read the text's claim that saying less can give you more, I genuinely struggled to picture how that isn't just passive.
It sounds passive.
It really does. Like if I'm negotiating my salary and my boss makes an offer, and I just sit there staring at them in total silence.
Oh, brutal.
Right? Isn't that just going to ruin the rapport? How is that actively driving the negotiation and not just making things incredibly awkward?
Well, I mean, it is awkward, but that is exactly the point. The amateur thinks that awkward pause is a failure of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The expert knows that human beings hate silence and will do almost anything to fill it. When you just sit there, you shift all the social pressure onto your boss. They start bargaining against themselves.
Yeah, they scramble.
Exactly. They say something like, well, we could maybe do an extra 5,000. By doing nothing, you force them to give you the puzzle pieces.
Okay, but wait, notice what you just said. You said they start bargaining against themselves.
Yeah.
To me, that proves my point. The text calls this a strategic space, and it specifically notes that listening is influencing without speaking.
Influencing, sure.
Right, so if my silence forces the boss to drop another $5,000 on the table, the silence didn't just gather intelligence, it actively persuaded them to concede.
I just don't buy that it's the silence doing the persuading. The silence merely revealed their actual upper limit.
But they wouldn't have given it to you otherwise.
True, but they already had that $5,000 in their pocket. They just hadn't offered it yet. You extracted real information, which is brilliant intelligence work. But intelligence work is defensive.
Defensive?
Yeah, it shows you the map of the room. You and I both agree having a map is a decisive advantage, but a map doesn't drive the car. You still have to execute a strategy based on what you found.
Wait, let me push back on that map analogy. If you are listening to this and wondering how just sitting there can be a force, think about a vacuum in physics.
A vacuum?
Yeah, hear me out. A vacuum isn't just empty space. It creates a pressure differential that actively pulls things into it.
Okay.
When the text says the best negotiators try to understand rather than convince, they are creating a vacuum. By absorbing what is said and focusing heavily on what is not said, you are steering the other person. You are pulling their concessions into the space you created.
Well, sure. A vacuum pulls things in, but it doesn't organize them. You're pulling in their limits, their anxieties, their underlying interests. It's a diagnostic tool.
I'd argue it's more than diagnostic.
But look at the explicit instruction in the material. You use this understanding to adapt your strategy in real time. Adapt your strategy. That means active measures have to follow.
Not necessarily immediately.
If they fill your vacuum by stating a hardline, non-negotiable demand, your silence hasn't persuaded them to drop it. It just revealed the obstacle you now have to actively overcome.
But doesn't acting inherently introduce risk? I mean, this is exactly why the text brings up Confucius, who calls silence a friend who never betrays.
Oh, I love that quote.
It's brilliant. Because every time you open your mouth to execute one of those active measures you're talking about, you are introducing a liability. You might say the wrong thing, or concede too much, or offend the other party.
Right.
Speaking is often a weakness.
Exactly. You are making my point for me here.
Wait, how?
A friend who never betrays is a friend who keeps you safe from your own mistakes. It is the ultimate expression of risk mitigation.
Well, I don't know if I'd say.
No, think about it. When you speak, you are exposed to all those liabilities you just listed. Silence protects you from those betrayals. It establishes a defensive perimeter so you can process the real information without exposing your own vulnerabilities. It keeps you safe, but safety isn't persuasion.
I disagree. In a high-stakes deal, keeping yourself safe from unforced errors while the other person talks themselves into a corner, that is the leverage. And leverage is the currency of influence.
It's a type of leverage, sure.
Right. We're looking at two sides of the same coin here. But I maintain that creating that space, influencing without speaking, is the absolute highest tier of negotiation.
And I still see it as the necessary first step. It safely extracts the real information you need to actually go win the deal. But, I think we completely agree that listening to what is not said is profound.
Oh, absolutely. A pause is never just a pause.
Right. It's a rich vein of data waiting to be mined.
It really leaves us with this incredible tension between the urge to convince and the power of understanding. The next time you find yourself at a negotiating table, or even just in a heated discussion at home, think back to that smooth-talking lawyer we pictured at the start.
The one who probably talks way too much.
Exactly. Maybe true power isn't about having the best monologue. It is worth considering how you utilize that strategic space in your own life. Which leaves the ultimate question open. In the vacuum of that silence, where exactly does listening end and influencing begin?